Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, doctors, welcome to today's program. Today, what I want to talk about is force multipliers. Force multipliers is pretty much the definition of what the Smart Injury Doctors program is, and what force multiplication or force multipliers means is getting more work done per unit of time. So if you're building an injury practice, there's a lot of different ways to build it, and you can build it actually quite substantially from within. You can build it externally and internally, and you're going to use force multipliers the whole way. So here's a force multiplier. First of all, training your staff is definitely a force multiplier. So you will get much more work per unit of time done with a trained staff. But here's what I'm actually talking about. What I'm talking about is you're going to train your staff on, the various things that you do, the scheduler that you have, how to take cash, how to take credit card, the various things, how to route a patient, various things that you do, how to take a phone call. But what I'm talking about as a force multiplier is getting them to understand exactly the procedures that you're doing with an injury patient. You should be a well-tuned clinic. Everybody should know exactly what's going on. That's a force multiplier. Now, the reason why it's a force multiplier is because then they will know what makes you unique. So in my Smart Injury Doctors program, doctors are, saying, hey, what do we do for marketing? What do we do for marketing? Well, the best marketing that you can do is to train your staff on the individual procedures that a person would go through. So let me give you an example. Everybody in the clinic should know why the patient is doing stress x-rays. Everybody in the clinic should know that what you're doing is a spinal instability evaluation. Actually, everybody in the clinic should know that you're following the x-ray guidelines of the chiropractic profession, which is number one, do a subluxation analysis. That means misalignment or mismovement of a vertebra that causes nerve interference. That's what you're looking for. You're to do a soft tissue evaluation. That means you're looking for excessive motion. It could also mean that you're looking for disc herniation, but excessive motion helps you to make a determination of whether you're going to send out for an MRI or not. If you have translation in extension, then chances are that you've got a disc herniation by research. So, your group, your staff need to know exactly why you're doing this process of stress radiology. Now, they also need to know that this is what makes you unique. This is what allows you to accurately determine the undiagnosed condition that most chronic pain patients have. This is what allows you to actually diagnose the migraine headache sufferer, get them into the clinic, get them in for an evaluation. So you want your staff to know exactly what you do and why you're doing it so that they can explain it, so that you don't have to explain it. So if you have more people explaining it, then you have more people who are potentially promoting and putting out information that makes your clinic well thought of. Now, here's the other idea of training your staff. When you're training your staff are going to train the patients. Now, one of the biggest referral sources that you have is your patients, word of mouth. So it's what are you doing with that patient? In the consult, what are you doing? We teach in the Smart Injury Doctors what to do and what to talk about, right? What are you talking about in the exam? What are you talking about with the x-rays? Is a patient going home with a booklet that explains exactly what you explained in the consult, in the exam, in the x-rays? Does it explain exactly what your staff would talk about? Does it explain why, does it tag with the posters maybe that you have on the wall, right? So when everything's tied together, you're starting to use the force multiplier principle. And that principle is getting more work done per unit of time. So I am starting to, when I train my staff and I teach them every single thing. So, what are the important things at day one? What are the important things at day two? What are the important things at day three? What am I doing when I'm have an MRI come back, or I have a CRMA come back, computerized radiographic mensuration analysis, excessive motion test come back? What am I doing when I'm explaining that to the patient? Everybody in the clinic should know it, because as you tag with one another, the experience for the patient makes it so that they can understand it better, and now they can go out and explain it to another better of what makes your clinic unique. So this idea of force multiplier. So here's another thing. I'll give you another example of it. Doctors will go out and they will meet with attorneys, but at the same time that you're meeting with the attorney, what is the attorney attached to? The attorney is attached to other medical doctors that you may want to work with. So you ask them about the medical doctors that they work with, right? Because that's going to tag you. Now I'm going to get, not only am I doing a presentation to an attorney, but I'm also getting the idea of, all right, who is this attorney connected to? Maybe they're connected to people that I want to have on my team, because I've got to have a good medical group on my team. So the force multiplier principle is just getting more work done per unit of time. Getting more work done per unit of time. And that's pretty much what the program that I call the Smart Injury Doctors program. It's a force multiplier program. It teaches you how to do a lot of things at the same time. That's how you make a very, very productive and active injury practice, even if you're just starting from scratch. Even if you're just starting from scratch. If you're not starting from scratch and you already have patient flow, it's really, really easy. Very, very easy to do. So I want you to look at, when you're doing something, what else could you be doing while you're doing that thing? And I know that there's this idea of, hey, do what you're doing while you're doing it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you're off daydreaming. You're very present with the patient. But if I'm in doing a examination and I'm explaining what I'm looking for, isn't it also explaining to the patient what people who have chronic pain or have some condition should have had a doctor looking for? And wouldn't it possibly explain in their head, while I'm explaining this, that this might be what their friend needs? This might be what the person at work that has migraine headaches needs. This might be what the person at work that falls and hurts their back or hurts their neck needs. So I'm definitely getting my exam done, and I'm definitely getting an educated patient. But at the same time that I'm educating that patient, I'm educating the patient so that they can go out and educate others. That's the force multiplier principle. That's getting a lot more done in a lot less time. So doctors on these podcasts, what I do is I just take one concept and I kind of riff on it a little bit, talk about it a little bit. Hopefully it stimulates some thought for you. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. And as always, I thank you very much for your time and your attention. And I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. And for those of you that have not subscribed, subscribe. Subscribe so you know exactly when new podcasts come out, which is right now we do them weekly every Tuesday. All right, doctors, you have a good rest of the week. And again, I thank you for your attention.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review and don't forget to join us on our next program.